Hey everyone, Aaron here from Ultra RC Hobbies. So we always have some cool stuff coming across the bench, and today is no different. So we have the brand new XB8 24. This is going to be a Nitro Buggy kit. We have a whole bunch of other stuff to complete it. So what we're going to do is a walkthrough of the brand new 24 kit and how we're going to complete this for the customer and some of the updates we would do here in Canada with the Xray car. So first things first, let's crack open the box on the brand new XB8 24. So this one we're actually going to be building for the customer and outfitting completely to get this fella up and running. So we got the new Xray box, very, very fancy. The outer shell is pretty much the same with all the 21s and newer. So first things up, Xray, always with the certificate of authenticity, saying that it is 100% a Team Xray kit. Next thing up, we got the manual and the exploded view, so let's crack this open. I know you've probably heard on any of the Xray reviews, especially the ones that we've done, we rant and rave about these manuals, but honestly, this should be the kind of go-to for everybody to buy and look at manuals. Color-coded, gives you all the options of what you need, and the nice part is too, it gives you all of what some of the adjustability is going to do, all the parts and pieces that you might need, or some of the updates. So that's the pill chart, what all the pills are going to do, all the option parts and lists while you're building it to make your build a little easier. So very, very nice manual, probably the upper echelons of manuals. They also include this right here. So it's a pretty cool little chart. It gives you all the parts, pieces, and everything that you could use as options or what's included in the kit. But on the opposite side, it gives you a full exploded view. So it shows you where all the parts and pieces, all the part numbers, how everything goes together. So super, super handy to keep in your toolbox if you do not want to have the manual as well. Other thing in there is going to just be a black and white Xray decal sheet. Xray is super nice. They do die cut their decals. Just saying, no getting knives out for decals or anything like that. Window masks are going to be in there, pretty standard. Next up is the chassis. A little bit different color chassis than what we're used to. Xray is usually a couple shades darker on the gold. This is a little bit more of, I'm going to say like titanium kind of a color, a little bit different. Lots of mills, super, super nice. The new cars do have that chamfered edge, just like what they were doing with the 10 scale cars, for making sure the chassis doesn't dig into the face of the jumps, stuff like that. So we're gonna roll this box over to the side, make it a little bit easier. So next thing up, you're gonna get the standard air filter. They've had these for pretty much forever. Black wheel nuts, super, super large diameter, inner diameter fuel line. And this is pretty much like your hardware kit. So you get your shock standoffs, you're gonna get wheel nuts, you're gonna get all that kind of finishing stuff with the plastic throttle servo horns as well. Bearings. So Xray's been doing a lot of different stuff with bearings lately. The one thing that I can say about this car and all their previous gen cars, the durability of these bearings are phenomenal, and they do oversize some bearings. So pinion bearings are going to be 8x16, as well as your side diff bearings and stuff like that. So big, big bearings are included in this kit for durability. It makes it way, way better. So we'll just get this big mamma jam out of the way. You're still getting the XB8 Easy Body. This is something that's kind of been out since the 21 car. They have made a couple different adaptations to it. It does have these new vanes down the side, but same roof vane and pretty much all this kind of downsizing for the downforce and all the stuff on the side. Pretty much identical. Nothing crazy has changed there. Next thing up, you're getting all of your shock oils, diff oils, graphite grease, and please, please, please do not think that this is blue Loctite. This is air filter oil, and they also make sure that they give you air filter oil instructions on how to oil your filters, just so you don't get that mixed up. So this does not, I repeat, does not come with Loctite. So you want Loctite and some shock O-ring grease to complete your kit on top of what's included. Next up is the wing. This has been updated a little bit. It has a bigger pickup on the bottom side of the wing as an air inlet. It also has the holes marked out on the back if you want to drill it out. And then it does have these 5 screw holes up top for an extra wicker bill if you want a little bit more downforce. Xray does have a nice lightweight flexible wing. I've seen very few of those actually break, which is quite nice. Next up is the fuel tank. So included in the tank, you're gonna get the tank, some extra fuel line. You're also gonna get 2 different size of capacity limiters. So make sure that you go through, and if you're gonna go to a roar event or anything like that, run the capacity limiter and see what the fuel tank holds. You're also gonna get 2 fuel line pickups and a couple pieces of hardware to lock those pickups onto the tank. Next thing up, just grabbing random bags, we're on bag number 5. This is front lower control arms. You're also going to get the new A and B blocks, and you're gonna get the new screws to attach those. So Xray now on the split bulkheads went away from the coarse thread screws that honestly look like they were drywall screws with Phillips heads, I might add. They've gone away from that, and now they're a standard hex hardware, fine thread. Everything's very standardized on here. You're gonna get the medium arms included for the lowers. Next up, we pulled bag 3, which is the rear end. You're gonna get the standard non-LSM arms in hard for the rear. And again, you're getting the C and D block included in here, all the pills you need. And then you're gonna get the standard hardware, no more coarse thread screws. Sway bars are included in this bag as well, front and rear by the looks of it. Next thing up is the front end. So this is front uppers. You're gonna get bumpers, uppers, and you're also gonna get your pivot balls. So getting into things that we would now start to change. I guess we should have started on the last bag. For here in Canada, instead of the standard rear arms, which are just the flatties, just like that. For here in Canada and the States, tracks are getting really, really bumpy. And Xray has now done this LSM arm. So it's a lowering the shock mount arm. So it actually lowers the shock deeper into the arm, and it seems to be a lot better for low grip and really, really bumpy surfaces. So if you do need them, they come as a right and a left. So 35, 31, 24, and you get these hard or graphite, and then 35, 31, 25, again, hard graphite. So just different part number left to right. So just thought I would throw that in there. Now the new upper arm, it's a little bit different. And the only really big difference to it is it has these 2 screw holes in comparison to the old car. So what that's going to do for you is going to allow for a little bit of a wicker or a winglet to be installed on the upper arm. So you can get them in Lexan or you can get them in graphite carbon fiber. Pretty neat. You're also going to get just these in medium, which is pretty standard from all the other previous cars. One thing Xray does include in here is going to be 2 steel pivot balls and 2 aluminum pivot balls. So the steel ones are these silver ones, and in the bag there's going to be black ones. They are your aluminum ones. If you want your front end to be a little bit more aggressive and the car to be a little bit more reactive, we recommend going to the other 2 aluminum pivot balls instead of the 2 steel, 2 aluminum. You can kind of balance it out if the track's a little bit more bumpy and you want a little bit more stability in the front end, you don't need the aggressiveness, then you can rock the steel again. But we've kind of always found that we do the 4 aluminums instead. So part number 357251, you only need 1 bag of those because they do come with 2. So just a heads up there. Next thing up, we got the servo saver and the upper arm mounts. So this is going to be bag number 7. Pretty much standard stuff. Shock tower, you get 6 holes on each adjusting side. Graphite, servo saver. Nothing's really crazy changed here by any means. You still get the keyed servo posts on the bottom. There's 2 little grooves that go into the chassis so it locks in. They're not going to spin. A lot of cars, they spin and they're an absolute nightmare to try and get set up. Next thing up, springs. So these cars are including 3-dot springs now, front and rear. 3-dot on the old 21 cars was a big improvement to rear stability and grip. So it was definitely nice to see that they're now including those 3-dot springs. Included is a standard non-quick change motor mount. Pretty much standard in all the kits. You're getting your fuel tank mounts in there. And this does include a 3-shoe clutch. So this is one of the large upgrades we do recommend, is jumping over to the 4-shoe clutch. So a lot more ability to change up the spring rates and the different materials on the shoes themselves. This is going to include 4 aluminum shoes, and it's going to include 4 springs as well. and all of the hardware to mount this onto the car. So this is part number 358400, and it's just a tuning thing. It gets you so much better tunability with the clutch and your power delivery system. Now, instead of a 13-tooth bell like we saw last year with the XB8 23 and previous models, they include a 14-tooth bell. If you are going to switch over to the 4-shoe clutch, you have to buy 358414, and this is the L, so this is the lightweight bell, and it's vented in the front end. The cool part with Xray bells is they have 3 bearings in them, not just 2, but 3. They are a really, really nice piece, and we have had very few failures with the clutch wheel bearings with that added 3rd one. So this is a huge upgrade and a needed upgrade if you do the 4-shoe clutch, just heads up. So next up, just a random bag of hardware. Xray always includes extra hardware bags. It's just something that they always do, just in case you drop one, hits the floor, they might have missed one packing it up, things like that. So next thing up, we have the rear end stuff. So we got hub carriers in here, we got wing mount, we got all of that good stuff, drive shafts, stub axles, turnbuckles, all the standard things. So a little bit different now. Everything, instead of being black like the actual rear hub carrier hinge pins used to be, they're chrome now. So you can polish them up and get them really, really nice and smooth in the rear hub carrier. They are going to include the hard hub carriers now, and they do have 3 positions to mount that hub carrier in the arm. So a little bit of a redesigned hub carrier there, nothing too crazy. You're going to get the pickup for the bulkhead for your rear chassis brace, all that good stuff. So next up, we're getting into bulkheads and rear shock tower. So as you can see, you have 8 holes on that rear tower. The new V3 split bulkheads. So these do have diff height adjustability, so you can lift the diff up or down depending on your ride height to get the drive shafts nice and flat. And then you also have the pinion angle adjustability. So if you're used to 10 scale racing, anything 4-wheel drive, this has kind of been a pretty standard thing for quite some time, and it's finally making its way to 8 scale. Xray has had some durability issues with this, so that's why this is V3. So V1 got wrecked pretty quick. They did a V1 or V2 upgrade, and if you did have a kit, RC America and Xray rectified the issue by getting you new bulkheads and all that stuff taken care of. So really, really nice. The biggest difference now with this guy is it does have a different ring and pinion ratio as well. So that's something that you need to watch out for. It does have a 46-13 ring and pinion ratio instead of the previous models. So a little bit different, and that's why the clutch bell is a 14 tooth instead of a 13. So a little bit different. So getting into the next thing, we have center diff. They include a 48-tooth metal spur gear, which is pretty standard metal on all the Nitro cars. Diff gaskets. This is one thing that's super underrated in my opinion with the Xrays. They are very rubbery, and they don't tend to leak as bad or get dried out as bad as some of the paper style gaskets. So super, super handy. The center diff and the front and rear diff are different, however. So this is something when you're building the kit, if you like to do all your diffs at once, just look at the comparison in size to how much fluid the center diff holds versus the front and the rear diff. So just kind of keep that in mind while you're building it, to keep the center diff separate due to case volume size. Next thing up is front and rears. So you're gonna get pretty much everything standard. You're gonna get cups, metal spiders, ring and pinion, all the O-rings, everything like that you need to build it. It comes with the nice outdrives as well. So super, super handy that way. Nothing too crazy and or different from some previous models. So this is getting back to the wing. This is your upper wicker bill plate, and it comes with the 5 pieces of hardware, and it does have a little bit of a lip on the wicker bill plate for the wing. Next thing up, you get the mud guards. So these now have the ability to add a carbon plate in the mud guard, which is something that we've seen in previous models as well. They're a nice soft plastic, very, very flexible, not gonna crazy amount of stiffen the chassis. To the radio box. So this is pretty much the standard radio box. We've seen this radio box in a lot of different cars for quite some time. It does include 3 plastic servo horns, obviously depending on the servo you put in there. Buying anything aluminum, whether it's the Huddy one or any other brand, highly recommended. It does come with all 6 of these servo adjusters. So these are different heights to space up the servo off the chassis there. And then you're gonna get all your covers, and it's going to include little turnbuckle for the servo to the servo saver and the rack. Next thing up, we're getting the center diff. So this is pretty much standard, haven't really changed too much on the center diff from the 21s, where they went to the new post for the brake linkages. Still includes the springs, still includes all of the nice brake hardware with the little bit larger pan heads. Very, very nice piece. So now this is where things do change a little bit on the 24 as well, getting into the front and the rear shocks. So now Xray is going to include all three options for bladders. So you get the honeycomb bladder, you get the standard soft bladder, and then you're also just gonna get an O-ring. So now these shocks can be built with the hard honeycomb bladder, soft bladder, or full emulsion. And these are brand new caps to do emulsion. So they're trying to give you all the options for building it without having to buy the zero rebounds. Xray has always been saying that if you buy the soft bladders, it's as close to zero rebound as you can get. But going to zero rebound with a different cap, the different body, really, really changes how the car handles and makes the car a little bit more stable. But this is a super, super nice start. You're getting chrome shock shafts front and rear, so super low friction, and probably one of the nicest shock boots out there too. So they're already accordioned, so they do flex really, really nicely. They don't add too much extra resistance to the shock, and they're gonna include the Delrin pistons and the Delrin guide set as well. So not really much updating you have to do to these shocks other than, as per usual, polish up your shock shafts and find out what setup everyone's using at your track for building pack with the different shock pistons. So they include the 8 holes and they also include the 6 holes as well. So you have some ability to tune it and play around with how much pack you build and everything else that way. So now to complete the build, what are we doing for servos? So we usually rock the Power HD servos. This is what I personally use in all of my builds. And for throttle and steering on this build, we're going to be using the Power HD brushless S25. So this is going to be a full aluminum case, metal, titanium gears, and brushless. These have some wicked good specs as well. So the specs on these servos at 7.4 volts, or 8.4 volts, I guess, since we're running a fully charged receiver pack, 2S. The speed on it's 0.55, and it's going to be 460 ounces. So ridiculously quick, and it's going to be awesome. The one caveat I will say with the Nitro engines, you might want to slow that speed down on the throttle servo because it almost opens the slide too fast, and instead of all the air and the fuel going down the venturi and the carburetor, it actually builds vacuum to the side, so it can give you kind of a weird bog or almost a miss on the bottom. So you slow down the throttle servo, that fixes it right up. And last but not least, what engine and pipe are we going with? Normally we do a lot of OS stuff, honestly. We've run OS forever and ever and ever, and the customer wanted something a little bit different, so we went with the new FX K303L. And I mean, this packaging, amazing. So nice paper, so nothing rusts, anything like that. Even comes in this nice like lined box. You're gonna get extra head shims, all the good stuff that way. And this is a standard 3-needle carb, high speed, mid speed, low speed, idle. DLC coated crank, just like all the OS's. And it's a really, really nice piece. They include the gasket already on there and very nice milling on the exhaust port and everything that they have going on for that engine. Also included, just like all the other Xray products, you're going to get a certificate of authenticity, and then you're going to get these manuals. One thing that FX does extraordinarily well is another colored manual talking about how to oil your air filters, what you need to do for maintenance, all of that good stuff. It is phenomenal to go into. And they also include this book of how it's made. So it's a nice kind of all the engine parts laid out, exploded, how they're milled, how they're designed. It's a very, very, very nice way to look into how all these engines are built and manufactured. So super, super nice. You're also gonna get your exploded fuse and black, white, and red FX decals. So really, really nice. So that's what we're doing for an engine. And we bought this as a combo with a pipe. So it makes it a little bit easier because now you don't have to buy it separate. And this is the pipe we went with there. So we went with the 2169. and it's going to come with the medium header. So it comes with springs for the long springs to go around the motor, and it's also going to come with the shorties to lock the header to the pipe. So super nice. That way you can play with headers to get more torque or more RPM, depending on what you want to go with, depending on the track you're running, all that good stuff. So that is the XB8 24 full unboxing. This is exactly how we're going to build it for the customer and how we build all our personal cars. So we have some XB8 21s here, and we have an XB8 22 that we're going to compare it to later on in the series after it's all built and ready to go. So thank you everyone so much for watching. We really do appreciate it. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. If you have any more questions, concerns, comments about this kit build and how we're building it, throw them down in the comments section below. And don't forget to head over to the brand spanking new Ultra RC Hobbies website. We have all the Xray parts and pieces listed over there. And if you have any questions, if we don't have it in stock, anything like that, just shoot us an email over there. So hopefully everyone has a great day, and we'll catch you on the next one. Bye.